Okay, this is the first time we've tried to do this. I don't have any idea if anybody's even watching right now live, but this is the Royal Half Radio post game show. I know a lot of people requested something like this, so this is it. We're just gonna jump right into it. This is gonna be a work in progress, by the way. Apologies in advance if some of the things that I try don't work, but we have people who wanted to be on the show, so we are going to start off with Rob Stahl, Rob in Manhattan Beach. Sorry, Rob. And hopefully we are going to figure this out. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. This is going to be a work in progress, figuring out how to pull this off because I got to figure out how to get messages and then call the guests on the show because I'm not going to be able to take phone calls. I'm limited in my resources. So, I've got to have you text in 323-628-1008 if you want to be on the show. Then I will call you and we'll get you on the show and we'll hear what you have to say about that. Kings win first regulation overtime win of the season. They've obviously won in the shootout against Vegas, but that win was fantastic. And hopefully Rob can hear me. Rob, can you hear me?
I can hear you, definitely.
Welcome to the Royal Half Radio postgame show. People who are commenting, please let me know if you can hear Rob, because you should be able to hear Rob. Rob, what'd you think of the win?
Oh my God, when are they going to sign Kempe?
Well, I mean, that is the question, right? Because let's face it, that win was all Kempe, right? He has the pick in the neutral zone to set up LaFerriere for the first goal. He scores the overtime winner. He sets up Fiala for the game tying goal against Carolina the other night. I mean, just an incredible player.
My follow-up question is, when do we start calling the right circle Kempe's office?
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Let's do it.
I mean, Gretzky had his office behind the net. Ovechkin has his office on the left side. I think the right circle should be Kempe's office.
I'm not going to push back on it, Rob. I'm perfectly fine with it. Let's go. Right face off Kempe's office. But so let's go ahead and bring back some of the old classics. Play of the game for you, Rob.
Play of the game, I think, was Kempe's steal.
Yeah, in the
on
neutral
that
zone.
First goal.
Yeah.
I think it's, in a game where they're playing Kings hockey with shot suppression and they're not scoring a goal, right? You're like, they're clearly beating the other team. He gets the steal and that leads directly to the goal. So I think that's my play of the game.
All right. And player of the game, I'm assuming, is going to be Adrian Kempe.
Yeah, I mean, it's Adrian Kempe. If we wanted to spread it around, maybe Darcy Kemper as well. Second.
His save in overtime, I mean, they already got the point, but that save in overtime, I mean, without it, obviously they don't get the extra point, they don't get the win.
And the other save that he made, close in, where they were trying to stuff it earlier in the game. So, yeah, I mean, you nailed it when you had said that's the first 40 minutes was the old Kings team, which we're kind of all used to.
Yeah, it's funny. It through the second period, I found myself just saying out loud to myself, "Wow, they look like the Kings. They feel like the Kings again." And then, unfortunately, in the third, early on, St. Louis scores, and it just felt like St. Louis came storming back. But the Kings held on, and they collect the 2 points. They get the win. Rob, thank you for calling in. We actually have a second person who's already texted in wanting to be on, so I'm going to get in touch with them. Rob, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. This is the part again where everyone's going to have to be patient with me as I figure out the best way to do this. I have to take my glasses off because I've got to figure out how to call this number and block my number so that you guys don't have my phone number. No offense. But that's how it's going to be. So, all right, we have Ethan coming up next. If I can figure out how to call him. And again, Rob said with the play of the game, it's got to be Kempe, whether the goal or the pick in the neutral zone to set up LaFerriere's goal. Either way, Adrian Kempe, the player of the game. And we're going to go ahead and, oops, I called Rob again by accident. That's not what I wanted to do. But hold on there, Ethan. We are going to get to you in just a second. Again, appreciate everybody being patient with me. This process will work itself out slowly. This is all a work in progress. I apologize for the delay in me talking to somebody on the phone. Again, nice to finally get a point. And I said it already once. This has been a weird season. It's sort of a bizarre
If you
season.
record your name and reason for.
All right. So Ethan calling with a Google number, obviously. Ethan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Ethan?
Jesse, how are you, man? It's good to see you back on the radio space.
Well, it's the internet more than radio, but thank you very much. Ethan, what do you think of that win?
Good. It's great. I think I honestly don't think the Kings have been playing bad as of late in the past couple games. They keep going to overtime. They get these, the points out of it, but slowly I'm starting to see. I think this was their. I don't want to say their best game, but they look more like themselves in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that Corey Perry is going to be awesome on the bottom six of this Kings lineup.
It's funny. He had that opportunity to score late in the game, and I thought, oh man, this would be such a perfect sort of dramatic moment for him to score, and he didn't. But that's fine. They still wind up getting the second point in overtime. Ethan, what was your play of the game?
That has to be the Kempe goal at the very end. Man, it's tough. It's also tough. Alex Laferrier's goal was a beautiful, beautiful shot too. So, I'll give it to Alex just to get us up and going because it was great.
Just to mix it up a little bit. All right, Ethan, thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate it. Appreciate your thoughts.
Thanks, Jesse.
And we're going to go ahead and call Steve in Orlando. I'm going to try and get to Steve because, gosh, it's late. And thanks for staying up late, Steve, all the way from Orlando. Always appreciated him calling in when I was the host of that other show that we will not name. But sorry, just entering your phone number in right now, Ethan. We are going to get to you in 1 second. And again, appreciate everybody checking in. Appreciate everybody sticking with me through all of this. And hopefully we will get Steve in Orlando here. Steve in Orlando,
Hello.
What's going on, Steve?
Hey, great to hear from you.
Good to have you back on, man. How are things out in Orlando?
Oh, things are going great.
Good to hear it. Good to hear it.
Yeah, didn't get to see much. I was listening to it on the way home from work and got home just in time to see overtime. And that was pretty damn exciting.
Yeah, you saw the whole game then, basically.
Well, yeah, pretty much from what I heard.
So
yeah, it was great to see a win.
Did you see the save by Kemper in overtime? Although honestly, I'm not entirely sure it was a save. St. Louis might have just botched that. I don't want to be too.
I think it was a little bit of each, of both. He got it with the tip of his toe, but yeah, they seem to have botched it. That was a very weird miss by Fiala there to set that up, and Drew was a little out of place. And luckily, I thought for sure they're gonna score there, but yeah, a combination of not really nailing the shot and Kemper getting something on it.
I do want to say though about Fiala. One of the things that I was concerned about early in the season and late in the offseason was that Fiala looked so incredible at the end of last season. And it was really important, I think, for the Kings to start this season that he looked good. And I thought he's actually looked really good. He hasn't looked flawless. He hasn't looked perfect, but I thought he's definitely not the reckless, dangerous player that he's been. There have been no, egregious turnovers on the power play. He's not hurting the team. He's actually playing really, really well. And I think, it's unfortunate that Kopitar's out, but moving forward, if this team is going to turn it around, and it looks like they can, they're playing very good. They're getting points. They picked up 2 points tonight. It's as Jim said, they can't win without Fiala contributing. So
yeah, agreed. And yeah, from what I've seen so far, the games I've watched, not been great, but he's been really good and really solid. It was a bit of, like I said, a little bit of a miss for him there. I don't know what happened, but overall, I think I've been very impressed with him as well. And Kempe's playing like, he really wants to earn that contract that hopefully we'll be hearing about very, very soon.
Yeah, I don't want to get crazy with Kempe, but listen, if you want to look at some of the great wingers in the game over the last however many years it was, right? Kovalchuk is the first name or not Kovalchuk, excuse me. Gosh, the guy that plays in Tampa, what's his name? I'm totally blanking right now.
I should really be able to get that one too. My son loves the Lightning. I know you're talking about. I can't think of it.
Yeah, Kucherov, that's his name.
Kucherov, geez, yes.
Yeah, Adrian Kempe is turning into that kind of player, right? Like that. well, you didn't see it, Steve. I apologize, but the play to set up Laferriere's first goal was just solid heads up play in the neutral zone. And he's a winger,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't want to pick on Laferriere too much, but the reason Laferriere was available to receive the play from Kempe is because he was trailing. He was the last man back. And, all of the players from St. Louis had come steaming out. Yes, thank you, Mike from Earth Kucherov. All of the players had come steaming out of the zone. And so Laferriere didn't have anybody between him and the goalie. But that's the kind of play, right, that a center would make or a defenseman would make. But there's Adrian Kempe. I mean, and I still maintain that Kempe directed the Fiala goal against Carolina to tie the game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, Kempe
100% agree.
He's
been amazing. He's been
totally.
Yeah. He's the team right now, and he needs give him 11, give him 12, give him whatever he wants. Just do it quick.
Yeah, the only problem with his contract is that he holds all the power. If I was Adrian Kempe's agent, I would be telling him, don't sign today. Wait, make them bring you the moon. And obviously we all hope that he will, because he's incredible.
Yeah.
He was drafted by LA. He's been here. He's been the best player for a few years now.
I just hope Holland doesn't screw it up. Yeah, just don't. I hope he doesn't wait too long and Holland gets upset and butthurt or whatever, and just decides not to give him anything. I don't know about this guy. I don't know what to expect, and I don't like the not knowing. I know what you're saying, but I disagree. I want it done soon. I can't take the stress.
I want it done a month ago. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
like I want it done.
100%.
I just, regarding your comment that Holland better not screw it up, I'm not sure that there's much he can do shy of bringing him all the money in the world, because if Adrian Kempe doesn't want to sign, he's not gonna, and he can just hold on and wait for it.
Well, that's true. I like to think he wants to sign. So,
yeah, well, I mean, there's the alternative is to be depressed, right? So hopefully we'll find out very soon. Stephen Orlando, thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. We are going to move on now. I think this is going all right. Everybody who's out there watching, let me know if I'm doing a decent enough job of trying to shift between calls and whatnot. Right now, we are going to try and get August on the line as soon as I figure out how to enter his phone number. Again, that was Steve from Orlando. And, Adrian Kempe, the thing with Adrian Kempe is, like I said, he's got to want to sign. His family's got to want to sign. His agent has got to want him to sign. So at some level, there's...
Hey, Jesse.
What's going on, August? How are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a fun game. It was really fun to watch him, actually give us a really solid overtime.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was glad they got a point, and it was nice that they had the lead and lost it rather than having to climb back. But yeah, losing that would have been it would have been a bummer, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially with recent history. Yeah, I gotta say, like, I'm typically a pretty positive to a fault almost with the Kings. I mean, I'm convinced that we're Stanley Cup champions every year.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in all seriousness, I do think that, we're just kind of off to a slow start, especially with like the Kopitar injury really throws a wrench into the plans, and there's a lot of new faces. But my biggest question that I kind of have is, like, who do we think goes to the bench when Kopitar comes back? I mean, you could make an argument for Turcotte, for anyone on that fourth line right now, Perry, Turcotte, or Malott to stay in.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I thought about it a lot today. I mean, the simple answer for right now is, now that Kemper's got the start, I would fully expect to see Phoenix Copley reassigned to the Ontario Reign. That buys you one roster spot. Let me pull up my roster spreadsheet. None of you will be able to see it, but I keep pretty diligent notes. So at the moment they have 3 goaltenders, 7 defensemen, and 13 forwards, which is the full load of players you can have. And they've got 3 guys on injured reserve. So the first step is send Phoenix Copley back to Ontario. That opens 1 spot. Then you can bring back Andrei Kopitar. The real question will be when Kyle Burrows comes back, who's also been seen recently skating in a red jersey. Now you've got to make another decision. And so the question just sort of becomes, well, do you want 7 defensemen? Do you want 8 defensemen? They're obviously going with the 6 they've got until someone gets hurt. I don't think Turcotte is likely. Even I don't want to comment on what anybody thinks. I'm just going to comment on what I think is likely. Turcotte's been playing and been playing well. So I don't see him. And Ken Holland has already ID'd him as being a guy that they want to give a shot to. In fact, frankly, I'm a little surprised we haven't seen Turcotte playing more.
Sure, I totally agree.
The question then becomes like, is Malat, who I think a lot of people assumed got the last spot with Perry out, if you have a full healthy roster, you know, does Malat by the, you know, is he the first one down since he was the last one up, or is it Hellenius? I don't know, or is it Burrows, or you know, it's a tough one. You think you would make it Turcotte? You said
not necessarily. I just think you could kind of make an argument for anyone staying is really what I mean there. I mean, like Malat, I feel like he really earned his spot on the team, like with his performance in the preseason. And we haven't really had a guy that plays his role in, I mean, so long. I like, you could say Janot was the last guy, but he didn't really, he wasn't really the kind of guy we thought he was going to be the guy who just drops the gloves all the time, but he honestly didn't really, at least in my memory. But anyway, I mean, I guess the question is like, do we need that guy, or is it just really fun for the spectators? Like, do we keep Perry out there instead? I feel like we have to keep Perry, as much as, he's not a fan favorite. I feel like we have to, right?
So whether or not we have to, or they have to, I should say, I got to get myself out of the habit of saying we.
I do too.
Well, no, I mean, listen, people can do whatever they want, but when I worked there, I said we, but I don't work there anymore. So now it's,
I hear you.
Whether or not they need anybody in specific, they like having a guy who can fight. And whether it's Kyle Burrows or, it's so funny. Every time I say Kyle Burrows' name out loud, I question whether or not his first name is Kyle, even though I know, it is. It's like, I feel like it's Kevin or Kyle, it's Kyle. Anyway, Burrows is an option, but he's not in the lineup every night. And Malat theoretically would be. Corey Perry, I don't know. Corey Perry's not like a fighter. He's, he's mean, but he's not physically intimidating, I guess.
He's a gremlin on the ice, but he might not like drop the gloves. Yeah,
right, exactly. So it'll be really, I mean, honestly, the biggest question, I didn't expect Corey Perry back so soon, although I probably should have. And so now they have, with Kopitar going on injured reserve. I saw this mentioned on the Discord server earlier today, somebody who didn't know this, and there's no shame for not knowing this, but when a player goes on injured reserve, it means they're gone for 7 days, 7 calendar days. That's one of the rules of the injured reserve, is that you're unavailable for 7 days. So Andrzej Kopitar being out for 7 days starting today, I'm assuming, means that he's back at the earliest, if it works the way I think it does, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. That would be the 7th day next Monday, meaning the earliest he can return is against San Jose on the 28th. That's the fifth game, of this road trip. And I'm assuming because he traveled, they'll want him to play. I don't quite understand what the point of sending him on the road trip if he's not going to play at all on the 5-game road trip. So my hunch is he's back against San Jose. And at that point, then you have to decide, Sergio said it's retroactive, but retroactive to what, Sergio? Because they didn't usually, if they say it's retroactive. Sorry, I'm reading comments for those who don't know what I'm talking about. Usually if a designation to injured reserve is retroactive, usually they include the date that it's retroactive to. So Kopitar could be retroactive back a few games, because the last game he played against was the Wild, and so he's missed 3 games, I think, Pittsburgh, Carolina, and now this one, which I want to say is probably 5 or 6 days. Anyway, the point is he's coming back, and when he does, they have decisions to make. Anyway, appreciate you calling in. I am going to shift to another caller because I've never done this before, and I'm just trying to get as many voices in as I can. Thank you so much for calling in, though. I appreciate it. And now we're going to go to, oh no, I've lost it. All right, Anthony in Glendale. Hold on. If you are listening, I'm going to try and get you up on the phone right now. Apologies to everybody for the delay in this process. I don't have a producer, so I'm the one doing everything, including making the phone calls. So Anthony from Glendale will be joining us just as soon as he answers his phone, and we'll find out what Anthony has to say. Anthony, what's going on?
Hey, Jesse, this is Anthony from Glendale.
Appreciate you texting me. What'd you think of the game?
Man, I just I was multitasking, had some stuff to do, and it was just like I was hoping they'd wrap it up in regular, regulation. But of course, they gotta push it to the end.
Yeah, but they got the win, right? I mean, that's
They did, and it was one of those bittersweet moments where it's like I just wish, I do appreciate the win, but it's like there was no chemistry. Like they only scored one goal, and you can kind of feel that the lines were just juggled all over the place. And I don't know. I think this LaFerriere at center is not doing us any favors. I know you were on the last episode you were saying that he's trying his best on the face-offs, but he was like 0-7.
yeah.
So I don't know. I think like Jim Hiller pulled out the clipboard at the end, in OT to draw some plays, but it's like I think that play was really derived from Kuzi. I just don't see Hiller really getting a feel of what works and what doesn't work.
Well, listen, Hiller's an interesting case this year because the lines, listen, he likes to juggle lines. We know that, right? Like that's his reputation. But even though he likes to juggle the lines, there's still always sort of like a reset, like a stable reset to go back to. But with Kopitar out, there is no stable reset. And we've already seen that he's changed the defensive pairings. So now, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they asked, okay, well, what would you do? If you had to play LaFerriere at center, what line would you put him on? And my answer was, well, I wouldn't play him at center. Like I just wouldn't personally, but I'm not the coach. So, but if you put a gun to my head and said, what line would you put him on? I'd say like, well, I don't know, third or fourth, because I'd want Byfielder to know centering that top line. And I would just jumble the lines completely. But I'm not the head coach and I didn't coach the team. I know people are sick of this number, but I didn't coach the team to 105 points last year. And I think that that's valuable. And so, I don't know, but yeah, you're right. The power play last year, we heard Kuzmenko and Kempe were the ones that quote unquote fixed it. And then, you said you got the impression that Kuzmenko made the play to win the game in overtime. But look, that's part of the reason you have these players. And that's part of the way that a coach gains the trust of those players is giving them the space and the opportunity to make those decisions.
Yeah. And I think, the one player that stood out all game was Kuzi. Like he was definitely hustling out there every shift. And I wish it was the nuclear line of Kempe and Fiala and Byfield. It just doesn't make sense. Like if you have the red option and you've only won one game out of the last, I think it was 6 right before this one.
Yeah.
It's like we were third worst team in the league, and it's I just don't know when you need to use that button if not at this exact moment. So.
Well, we saw it late in the third period. I mean, that's the sort of, pardon me, everybody, that's the sort of fascinating thing about the current Jim Hiller experiments is that late in games, when it feels like the game might be on the line, all of a sudden we do see the nuclear option, like you were talking about, right? We did see Byfield in between Kempe and Fiala. And honestly, I haven't asked Jim Hiller about it directly because they went on the road as soon as that line was combined together in the Hurricanes game, but I would love to know what the reluctance is to just start with it. But they talked about the importance of getting out to a hot start and not chasing. But who knows, right? Like I said, I'm not the coach and I don't know why the coaches make the decisions they make. Anthony in Glendale, I appreciate you calling in. We are going to try and move on to a different call here. But thank you for calling in. Appreciate it. All right. So we've got text messages. Actually, we don't have a caller right now. We've got text messages. One saying, great to have you back, Jesse. Thank you. Whoever that is from the 323. Jesse Cohen is back. And so are the Kings. Great game and strong checking. Sign Kempe from the 805. I agree. Sign Kempe. It would be just a huge relief for everybody, I think, to have him signed and not have it looming, because every game that goes by, every day that goes by, the closer we get to some of these dates on the calendar, the more the collar tightens. And for those who don't know, there's a new rule. I believe it kicks in this year that when you trade a player, if you want to retain salary, you can't do it in the same day. Like if you want to get a third party involved, you can't trade a player, retain 50% of their salary, and then have them turned around and traded that day with another 50% retained, there has to be a 75-day waiting period between those kinds of deals. And it's only really important if you have teams that are tanking and looking to buy, draft picks in exchange for housing cap space. But nonetheless, December 21st is 75 days before the trade deadline. So it's sort of like a de facto second trade deadline. You've got the Thanksgiving date on the calendar where whatever the number is, 76% of teams that are in a playoff spot by American Thanksgiving make the playoffs at the end of the season. You have all these little sort of things. And, Adrian Kempe still doesn't have a contract, and it's just going to get more and more nerve-wracking. Justin Craven says, how about Perry standing in that crease? He looked great out there. I thought there were a couple plays where Corey Perry looked really good. To Andrew from Glendale's point, who was just on the line, Kuzmenko had a number of plays where you saw him dipsy-doodling, controlling the puck, moving in and around people, and just looking really, really good. Matt GKG says, call me back. But, Matt, I don't know how to call you back, so you're going to have to call me. Also, we have a text message from Jane in the 626. Jane says, glad to see you doing a new post-game show. I always enjoy listening to your post-game show. Will it be on Spotify? It absolutely will be on Spotify. It might not be on Spotify right away tomorrow, but work in progress. It should be on Apple Podcasts tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be on Spotify tomorrow. This is all a work in progress for me. I've spent like the last 2 months figuring out how to do all of this, and I'm still learning and I'm making mistakes and I don't love it, but it is what it is. Jane continues, so happy the team got another win tonight. We certainly needed it. They certainly did, Jane. The Kings definitely needed a win. Thought the game overall was pretty great. Seems like some of the cobwebs are finally coming off. I agree. I had that distinct impression in the second. A couple of mistakes scared me, like the misread during OT. That was scary. And Jane says, oof, that was scary. Thank God for Darcy Kemper. Agreed. That was tough. And not only tough, I think they mentioned it on the broadcast. It looked like the players didn't really know what to do. So that was a little bit rough. Question for you, says Jane, do you prefer the matte black helmets with the new third jersey or the silver glitter? I like both, but I'm curious what you think. Thanks for all your work. Hope you're well. I am well, Jane. Thank you very much. As far as my preference for the helmets, I prefer the matte black, but I liked the boldness of going with the silver helmets. I said it on Twitter. I said it on a couple other places. I would have liked to see them go with the silver helmets, and also, and people think I'm crazy for this, but I would have also liked to see silver gloves and silver shorts. Black is a very powerful color, and I don't mean powerful in the sense that it implies power. I just mean it dominates everything, right? Like I'm wearing all black right now. The Kings wear all black. It is all consuming. And so if you're going to have highlights on black, I think you need more of it, because whatever you put on black is going to pop. It's going to stand out. And so give me more color, if you want to call silver a color. Give me more silver in the entire uniform. Otherwise, the silver helmet just kind of sits there at the top, and it looks like, I don't know, it just looks like the wrong helmet. So I prefer the matte black personally, but I don't mind silver as long as you go with more silver. Pumpernickel wants to know, when do we get our first, I was one of the first 1,000 to listen to the first live post-game episode t-shirts. Pumper, as soon as you make those t-shirts, make a onesie for your kids. Although I think your kids are too old for onesies, but no, I guess your youngest is probably still in onesie size. Anyway, I appreciate you checking in, Pumper. Really fun show, says Og. I think that's Og. August must have been. So Jane, I hope that answers your question about the helmets. Anthony wants to know also, why are Dimmelin and CC playing together on the power play? Thing with the power play is that at the end of the power play, frequently there'll be an offensive zone face-off, but there'll be like 2 or 3 seconds left on the power play. And you got to put out D-men just in case the puck gets past you and you have the attacking forward popping out of the penalty box. I'm not sure that is what the situation was when Anthony is asking that question, but I know that there were a bunch of goals scored. I can't remember the defensemen that were on the ice, but the shorthanded goal that wasn't actually shorthanded, now I'm blanking on even what game it was, but the Kings got scored on. It felt like a shorthanded goal because when the faceoff was taken, the Kings were on the power play, and there were 2 defensemen on the ice. I think it was Clark but not Edmondson, maybe Clark, and I don't remember. Anyway, the point is you throw the defenseman out there, and sometimes they're out there, and other times Jim Miller just wants to get guys in the lineup. We saw a lot of that tonight. A lot of, as soon as the power play or a penalty kill were over, Jim Miller throwing out players that hadn't gotten ice time in a while, and he definitely likes to include players There was that game, Julie and I talked about it recently, where Alex Turcotte played like 10 minutes in the first period and then not again for the rest of the game. And when asked about it, Jim Hiller said, there was a penalty killed and there was an intermission. And by the time we got back for the second period, Turcotte hadn't played like 15 minutes. So he had cold legs. So Jim Hiller likes to avoid players getting cold legs. So that is part of the reason I think you might see some of that. Brian says, hi, Jesse, longtime viewer and would love to chip. Oh, you know what? That's a request to be on. So let me go ahead and give Brian a phone call rather than just reading that. And hopefully I've been answering all the questions. Again, apologies that I have to stop and sort of vamp as I go to take these phone calls, but hopefully we'll get Brian on the phone really quickly. And Anthony has corrected himself and asked why Dumo and Cece were playing together on the penalty kill. I don't know the answer to that, Anthony. Brian, what's going on?
Hey, Jesse. Appreciate you taking calls.
My pleasure.
Yeah, just wanted to say that I'm so happy to be on this end of an overtime.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, another OT loss would have been heartbreaking, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was at the Carolina game, and it's so nice to not only have more of our lineup in, but to actually pull out the win. So, this said, I just wanted to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
First one, and most importantly, who do you think is the best looking LA King currently?
Well, okay. So best looking, I don't know, because I feel like I have I'm not inclined that way. However, I will say this: Warren Foot, and I've said it a number of different times, as a bald man, I am insanely jealous of Warren Fogel's hair. And I have been bald. I used to have a ponytail in like high school, and I went to my senior prom and I saw the photos and I said, oh no, I've got a receding hairline. And when I'm dancing or working or running or whatever, it sweats and the hair mess. And it's just a terrible look. So I shaved my head like the weekend after my senior prom, and I've been a head shaver ever since. So I have been well acclimated to the idea of not getting jealous or thinking about hair, but Warren Fogel's hair makes me insanely jealous. So I don't know if he's the best looking, but he's got the best hair, bar none.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any debate on that.
Yeah. And I've told him that too, I think. If I haven't, I will.
Last thing, I just wanted to ask, I'm not sure if this is, a common question you get, but what do you think the identity of this team is going forward? Because, I know that's
a good question.
Last season, we were a very, very, kind of rock solid defensive core. And now, obviously it's too early to make any conclusions about the defense, but it seems, maybe a little less tight. So I'm just wondering what you think.
You know what? Honestly, that is an excellent question. And I just legitimately don't have an answer. I would have thought going into this season that it would have been more of the same, that they would have doubled down on that sort of defensive identity, given that they went out and invested in, size and shot blocking on the blue line. But now we've seen, other than tonight, they allow a lot of goals. And when you have a team with Fiala and Byfield, and if Kempe is going to be a point producer like he's starting to become, and with the impending departure of Anze Kopitar, I see this as sort of an opportunity to carve out a new-ish identity. But the additions of Armia, Perry, Dumoulin, and Cece don't really imply a desire to go that way. So I think, as disappointing an answer as this might be, I think we're going to have to find out, Brian. They're obviously always going to lean towards defense because that's Jim Hiller's bread and butter. But with Fiala and Byfield starting to use their speed more often, and Kempe really turning into a 200 by 85 foot conductor of the game, I think we could see some really more, a lot more exciting offense out of this team. I hope, anyway.
Sure. Yeah, that's the hope, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Before I leave you, I just want to put this out there that I think Adrian Kempe is an extremely attractive gentleman, and I love his hair. Anyways,
he also
take care of yourself.
No question. Thank you for calling me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Take care.
That was Brian. All right. We are going to go to Zach now, assuming I can continue to figure out how to use my phone. That was Brian. It's a tough question. I have a little sister, two little sisters who have very strong opinions about which players are attractive, and I just sort of go along with it. But I don't really have a tremendously strong opinion about the subject. Like I said, Adrian Kempe's got great hair. Warren Fogle has great hair. Anjay Kopitar's got great hair for that matter. So does Jim Hiller. So does Jim Fox. There's a lot of great hair in the LA Kings organization. It's insulting as a bald man. Zach, what's going on, Zach?
Hey,
Sorry, what's that, Zach? This is Jesse from.
Who's this?
This is we're doing the post game show for the LA Kings.
Oh yes. Do you believe that this new kind of high flying identity that Byfield, Kempe, and Fiala show is something that could be more like thing if Hiller is fired, or do you think it's more of an institutional problem, which leads them to being more 1-3-1 style team?
I don't. That's a really good question. Before Rob Blake resigned, I would have said institutional because I still believe that the 1-3-1 was promoted from management, not from the coaching staff. And there's a number of different comments that Todd McClellan made over the years that made me think that. So I don't know the answer to that. But Ken Holland came in, and like I said to the last caller, the signing of Dumoulin, Ceci, Armia, and Perry sort of heavily insinuates.
Yeah, but they're also like, sorry for interrupting you, but they're also
fine.
older players, which could seem as more of a bridge in between like Kopitar leaving, potentially leaving into, and then the end of their contract would also probably take us into its prime. So do you think they're going to go on that kind of young core, or do you think that they're going to be stuck in this middle ground between young and old?
Well, I hope, and I appreciate the question, Zach. I think we're going to let you go because we're getting a little bit chippy audio coming from you, but I appreciate you calling in. I'll try and answer this. I hope that they go with a younger identity because there's only so many veterans, and veterans are more expensive. And at some point, I know the cap's going up, but at some point you have to get your Liam Greentrees, maybe your Cohen Ziemers, your Henry Brustevich. At some point, you have to find ways to get those guys involved and get those in, if for no other reason than to save yourself financial flexibility. So that's a primary reason for all of that. All right, we've got a treat for everybody, I think, if I can figure this out. The royal half, the actual royal half, wants to come on the show, not just Royal Half Radio, but the actual. Sorry, I'm struggling to find his darn phone number in my phone. The actual royal half. We will try and get him on the phone here, and rare that he likes to identify himself as the royal half. Usually he likes to use a fake name, try and trick me up. But I guess since he's texting me, I know it's him. Royal half, what's going on, buddy?
Hello.
How you doing?
This showed up as spam on my call. You're lucky I almost didn't answer it.
Yeah, well, yeah. How dare
Jesse,
you?
question for you. Over 1,100 people are listening to this broadcast
1,200
right now.
from what I can see.
1,200 and counting,
Yeah.
rising with a bullet. Anything you want to say to the fans that are turning out in droves? This is a Yes Kings rally that we're having right now. People are showing up for you. What's going through your mind? How you feeling?
Well, listen, I'm thrilled that this many people are actually tuning in. I was a little nervous because I didn't know if this was going to work, frankly. When I clicked my options, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, I was like, gosh, I hope that it actually goes through. But I can see from the comments that we're getting comments from all three platforms. So it's working. Obviously, it means the world to me that people care enough about the Kings and, this discussion. I didn't know if people wanted to be on. I've been calling people nonstop. I've been reading texts and everything. So no, this is great. Listen, the fans, me, the half, I am, I don't know, you pick the word, not a pessimist, but, I'm a downer. I get it.
A curmudgeon is what I would say.
Yeah, curmudgeon, sure. But you were at my, I called it my funeral. The party I had to celebrate.
You put the fun back in funeral.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
But listen, a lot of people showed up for that, and I gave a little speech, and I told everybody that I loved them, and a couple of people told me that they audibly gasped to hear me speak so so emotionally. So no, listen, I appreciate the 1,200 people that are listening, and everybody that's asked me to call them and has left comments. It's really just, it's tremendous. I don't have enough words for it. Thank you to everybody.
Chelsea, unlike the Matrix Resurrections, this is a reboot the fans have been looking for. The previous caller took my question about the
most attractive king,
best looking play. Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah,
so I guess I got to call it earlier. But a follow up question for you. The Kings have really struggled to find that 1C for the last 5 to 6 years. Do we feel Alex Laferriere is the answer to the 1C moving forward?
No. I mean, and no disrespect to Alex Laferriere. Like, I hope this doesn't feel like I'm coming down on him. And I, listen, they're obviously going to keep playing him there. Jim Hiller was asked about it after the Carolina Hurricanes game. Somebody said, like, "Oh, we saw you using Byfield, Kempe, and Fiala together. We're going to see more of that." And his answer was like, "Yeah, we were looking for a spark and we needed it. So it's great. And they scored a goal and that's fantastic." And anybody who speaks Jim Hillerese knows that what he was saying was no, don't get your hopes up. We're going right back to what we want to do to start the next game. And sure enough, that's what they did. They went right back to what they want to do to start the next game. And, love it or hate it, that is, it drives some fans crazy. I get it. I actually kind of admire it on a personal level. Jim Hiller is a man of principle. Jim Hiller is going to do whatever the heck Jim Hiller wants to do. And so, no, I don't think Alex Laferriere is the answer at 1C. I think Quentin Byfield. I mean, listen, Quentin Byfield was drafted second overall half. Like, he's got to be the replacement for Andre Kopitar. No.
Yes, it was a little bit of a joke with the Kings search for the 1C.
Yes, no, I mean, he's got to be.
Yeah, no. Great. So you'd asked me to call in. Are we going to do the out of town scores now? Is this part of the show? We'll talk about New York Islanders 4-3 win over San Jose, the Edmonton winning in overtime over Ottawa. Is this part of the show where we'll do out of town scores?
One of the few recommendations that was made to me, strong air quotes, strong italics in recommendations. One of the things I was encouraged not to do when I was hosting that other show was not to do the out of town scoreboard. We will not be doing the out of town scoreboard. And just on a personal note, we won't be talking about number 97 or the team that he plays for. That's as much as I'm ever going to talk about him, unless they're playing the Kings. That's the extent of air and breath that I plan on wasting on that subject. The half, I appreciate you having me call you. I appreciate you giving me an example or an opportunity to thank the fans and personally. And I know you've probably gotten tired of me saying this, but for those of you who don't know, the Royal Half and the rest of the members of Team the Royal Half stepped up huge for me when I was dealing with chemotherapy and really, really were incredible. And I don't deserve all of the lovely things that all of you did for me. So thank you on a personal note. I really appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome, and you will be hearing from my lawyers in the morning about the blatant copyright infringement that's happening with your branding all over. What
do you think of the logo in the top right corner there?
I got notes. I'll send it to you offline. I think we're at plus 1.2K right now, which is actually the Kings cap room as well. I think is what we're looking at. So that's good. That's exciting.
Listen, I won't say.
Jesse, great job. The fans love you. We love you. Keep it up every game. Let's go Kings.
Let's go Kings. Thank you, the half. I appreciate it. All right, we are going to move on to our next call, which is Steve. And apologies, Steve. We have like 80 Steves that used to call in all the time. So I don't really know which Steve I'm calling right now. It's not Steve from Orlando because we already spoke to Steve from Orlando. This, based on the area code, could be Steve from Tahunga. But honestly, with cell phones these days, area codes don't mean anything. I've got an 818 and I haven't lived in the 818 and I don't know, close to like 15 or 20 years. So who knows? But we're calling one of the Steves. Steve, what's going on? It's Jesse Cohen.
Jesse, how are you?
Good, thanks. Which Steve are you? Sorry, I apologize.
Well, let's see. Hit you up on you've given me tickets a few times. How's that?
Okay, perfect. Good enough. Good enough. What's going on, Steve?
Not much. I've had connections issues, but I was glad to hear you out on the radio again. And hey, I'm enjoying your post game views on things.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Did you watch the entire game, Steve?
I did watch the entire game.
All right.
I was obviously needed the win more than anything, but I guess my frustration is we've got to get Kempe back on the point, off the point. He's got to be on the one-timer position. There's just no doubt about that. And I guess that's you watch that, and we've seen him score from that position so many times.
I'm assuming you're talking about on the power play.
I am talking about on the power
Yeah.
play, even on the 4-on-3. I mean, when we were in
Well,
the
sure.
4-on-3 at the end,
Yeah.
right? I mean, obviously still a power play, but putting him as that defenseman up on the point just wastes the best one-timer on the team, where he scores at a high rate.
Yeah, so this is one of those sort of like weird byproducts of an odd decision since they're going with 5 forwards on the power play, which hasn't looked as good to start the season as it did to end last season.
True.
Given that they're going with the 5 forwards on the power play, and honestly, I've seen, he's not been in the lineup the last handful of games, but Andrei Kopitar I've seen play below the goal line on the power play more in the last 5 or 6 games than I have in his entire career. So if Andrei Kopitar is not going to be near the top of the zone, then like who else? Like I don't want, no disrespect to Kevin Fiala, but I don't want Kevin Fiala anywhere near the blue line on the power play.
No, neither do I, and I don't understand why. Hey, put Doughty back on the first power play. Why not?
Well,
right?
or
You've got,
I'll do you one better. How about Brant Clark?
and I wouldn't have a problem with that either. I just think he's got more trust in Doughty. I mean, he obviously still does not trust any of the younger players. That's a fact. Pretty soon Corey Perry's going to be playing 16, 17 minutes a game, and that's just going to be life for the rest of us, and that's okay. But when Brian Dumoulin shows up and he's out on the 3-on-3, that you know what Hiller's going to do. I mean, you
Listen,
put something out on Twitter.
I hate to step on your joke, but Corey Perry played 14 minutes and 41 seconds tonight, so he's not that far off.
I know, but you put something out earlier this week about why do we not do? It was something along the lines of, why do we keep doing things the hard way and the struggle instead of going with what's obvious, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the question was, what do you call it when you would rather struggle your way than succeed the quote unquote right way?
And I think that's Jim Hiller to a T. He's going to do things his way.
Your words, not mine.
Yeah, I know, totally true. I'll take full responsibility for that. But he's going to do things his way. He's going to play his people. And damn the results sometimes. It really doesn't matter. Oh, can I say that? I didn't mean.
You can say whatever you want. It's fine. But, I would prefer people not swear, but I don't think damn's a swear. So say damn.
There you go. You can throw the little guitar in there.
Yeah,
I'm okay with
not
that.
for damn.
But yeah. So I guess to me, in that respect, it's like Kempe's got to be in that position. We're going to score more power play goals if he is in the one-timer position. So if it's Doughty or Brant Clark, whoever it may be, you got to split those defensemen up and put one each on the power play. The 5-on-5 thing was great for that little bit of time last year, but it's not working.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the real question, Steve, for me is like, how long does something have to not work before it's officially quote unquote not working? Because, is it 1 game? Is it 2 games? Is it 3 games? Like, I don't know, because last season, whatever they're doing to start the season wasn't working. I don't remember what their record was in the first 6 or 7 games, but it wasn't very good. And then,
but this is supposed to be Jim Hiller's strength is the power play, and it really hasn't been since he took over the head coaching position.
Well, because this is the same situation that they're going through with Byfield right now. If you promote somebody up to replace, the person who left, well, now you have to replace the person you promoted. And I thought, I was hopeful that Newell Brown, because Newell Brown sort of is credited with popularizing, if not inventing, the slingshot play on the power play. I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe he and Jim Hiller, both sort of unconventional thinkers, will cook up something crazy. And who knows, maybe the 5 forward power play is just that, although everything we've heard seems to suggest that it was player driven, not coaching driven. But yeah, the power play has not been good, given that Jim Hiller's strength is supposed to be power plays. You're right about that.
Yeah. So, and then my other thought is the fourth line. Everybody talks about the whole playoff distribution of minutes, which I totally agree with. They were playing extremely well towards the end of last season, and then never got the opportunity to show that in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, listen, one of my personal sticking points is Jordan Spence. I'm a huge Jordan Spence fan. And
huge loss.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and defend his play in the first game of that series last year, but this is another perfect example of like, when is not working. He had 1 bad game, and that was sort of it for him, right? Like they just that was it. I think he got benched in game 5, whatever it was, and he didn't play very many minutes the rest of the way. And it's like, okay, well, what can you do if the trust, rope is that short? You can't,
Well, and only for certain players, not for all players.
well, yes,
Only for
that,
younger
yes.
players, right? And that's the part to me.
Yeah.
How do you develop a younger player if you're never going to give them that trust? If they
Well,
are always
yeah.
looking to see when am I going to get benched, you're not going to get the best out of them.
And I think, and this is, it's easy to say in hindsight, but, you look at, the question of Alex Laferriere at center right now. And the question is, well, who would you play, as the number one center? And the reality is, I think Quentin Byfield actually had a decent night. Let me look up the face-off numbers here. I think, Quentin Byfield was 15 of 22 in the face-off circle tonight. That's actually quite good. And Phil Deneau was only 5 of 14, which is actually not so hot. So, okay, Quentin Byfield had a good night in the face-off dot, but historically in his career, Quentin Byfield has not been a plus 50% face-off man. So, do you really want to have your number one center be a guy who isn't winning a ton of face-offs, blah, blah, blah. But then, of course, Alex Laferriere doesn't either. But I was curious about it. So I went and I looked at it, and it was like Andrzej Kopitar, I think, was in his 5th season, maybe even his 6th season, before he finally started winning face-offs at a clip better than 50%. And the reason I bring it up is to sort of say, like, if you draft a guy number 2 overall to eventually be the number one center, I think at the very least you have to let him play center, because people learn from mistakes, right? You don't learn from being coddled and protected. You learn from going out there and blowing it. But the team obviously wanted to compete, and that playoff series in 2022, I think, gave them the impression that they were competitive. So they weren't willing to take risks and take, that people always say progress isn't linear, but I think the organization wanted it to be. And so there was a reluctance to step backwards or make lateral moves in order to secure and improve the future. And that was one of them. And, now we're here we are, Steve.
So we're here. I know. I agree. And hey, I'm happy with the win. We needed it more than anything, but I don't feel like a lot of the questions are being answered.
No.
And that's, I feel like every game we go, I come up with more questions than answers.
Well, I wrote an article on the royalhalf.com. Everybody can check out the royalhalf.com for my coverage. I wrote an article earlier this season claiming that this was going to be a bizarro season. And I
saw that. Yeah.
Haven't seen anything so far to suggest that I was wrong. The Kings, I think most of their points have come on the road. They have one overtime loss, right, to Carolina at home. And then the win against Vegas was on the road. The win here was on the road. And they're all over, right? Like they have yet to win in regulation. I mentioned the fact that the deserve to win-o-meter, or as I was calling it, the Kings were beating the meter. Tonight, the deserve
sometimes
to
in the wrong way.
Yeah, the deserve to win-o-meter has the St. Louis Blues winning 71% of the simulations. So
which is great, except it doesn't equate points in the standings.
No, listen, the deserve to win-o-meter is nonsense. I said it in the article. It's dumb. You know it. I know it. The person who came up with it knows
very
it.
true.
But it's fun. It's easy. It kills time.
Sure.
Anyway, Steve, thank you very much for calling in. I'm going to try and get
Appreciate it, Jesse.
one more caller. Thanks.
Hey, glad you're doing well.
Thanks. I am.
Take care.
While I try and get one more person up on the calls, I do want to just real briefly address any questions that anybody might have about my health. I am fine. I saw a comment about my beard coming back. Yes, I am getting my beard back. I'm very happy. I think I look ridiculous without it. I did go through chemotherapy and I lost nose hair, which really sucks for allergies. I didn't think about it, but yeah, you lose. Hey. What's going on, Jonathan? You are on the Royal Half Radio postgame show.
Well, so good to be a part of it. Congratulations on the maiden voyage.
Yeah, thanks. And the win, more importantly.
And a win.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was, I guess they don't ask how, they just ask how many, right?
Well, listen, 2 points is 2 points. And fortunately, well, I guess St. Louis is a Western Conference team, so no good that they got a point, but at least they're not in the Pacific.
Yeah. Yes. So 2 points is 2 points. I think, the 24,000 foot view to me is still got to find a way to win a game in regulation before the season's done. But, not chasing the game for the first time in a while was an encouraging sign.
Yes, they never trailed in the game, which is good. Although I did see a comment on the official Kings. Well, maybe it wasn't the official Kings Discord, but one of the Discords that said it felt like they were chasing in the third after St. Louis tied it up. And it did. They were chasing the play, if not the game, which is a shame because in the second, I thought they actually looked really good for most of the middle of the second. But yes, to never trail in a game was a, I'll use a phrase stolen from the comment section here, was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, no, and I would agree with the point that I think that the Blues seem to control more of the territorial play in that third period. And I think for LA also nice to be able to have Darcy Kemper back there. A little more, I think, more of a stabilizing force, and thought he looked good, in his first game. I'm still trying, the one timer from Kempe that almost felt like he was at the bench. He seemed so far out, but again, the shot that Kempe possesses, one of the best in the league, and this is one more reason why, if you're a Kings fan, you want to see this guy here for another 8 years.
Yeah, I do want to backpedal a little bit and talk about Kemper because he was the second star of the night, and I thought important not only to get him back and healthy, but also looking like the Darcy Kemper of last year, right? He had, the Kings have been allowing quite a few goals so far this season, but tonight to allow only one, and to limit shot attempts, I think he only faced 19 shots. I think he made 18 saves on, or maybe 17 of 18, through 60 minutes of regulation and overtime, including that big one in overtime. So nice to have Darcy Kemper back, and not just back, but again, playing an important role, helping, like being crucially important to securing those 2 points. Because that, we had a question earlier, apologies, I don't remember who asked it, about the team's identity. For now, at least, who knows about next year or moving forward, but for now, their identity is gonna have to rely on Darcy Kemper and team defense, because that's what they've got. That's who they are.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Yeah, 18 shots he faced, and they had another 28 that were directed at the net. So, not a very high volume night.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, no, another 9. I'm sorry. Yeah, 19 shots directed at the net. I think it was, or something. I'm trying to do math here on the fly, and I forgot there wasn't supposed to be math tonight. But either way, Kings did a really good job. And to your point about Kemper, I mean, the stop that he made on Buchnevich just before the game-winning goal and and penalty, that's another thing you're talking about here, because the game could have been over right then and there on the Buchnevich partial breakaway.
Yeah, and I thought the guys on the ice for that breakaway, they mentioned it on the telecast, looked flat-footed, and I think the word they used was confused, right? Like it just sort of caught everybody by surprise, but not Darcy Kemper. He was there, and it worked out. John, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. We are coming up on an hour, so I think that I am probably going to start trying to figure out how to wrap this up. I do want to look at the 3 stars before I go. 3 stars of the game, obviously, Adrian Kempe with a goal and an assist. Again, Darcy Kemper, your second star of the game, stopping 17 of 18. And the third star of the game was Binnington, and probably deservedly so. Obviously, we don't want to see an opponent get a star of the game, but let's be fair here. He kept his team in it, and they probably could have won if it weren't for him. And he made a couple really nice stops throughout the course of the night. Sorry, I'm trying to sort something out here, and I'm screwing this up. But anyway, that was obviously St. Louis scores 1 goal, Justin Falk getting his goal, whereas the Kings wind up with 2 points from Adrian Kempe, an assist from Andrei Kuzmenko, an assist from Kevin Fiala, the goal from Alex Laferriere. 5 players +1, no players finding themselves in the minus column. A big win for the Kings, a huge win, an important win, a needed win. Just looking through. Hold on. We're going to try and get another call on here. I wasn't going to do it, but people want to talk. So we are going to do it. Darren, if you are watching or listening, hold on. I'm trying to get you loaded into my phone right now. And then eventually we'll end this. But listen, we got a lot of people watching, and I didn't think it was going to go this well. I didn't think I was going to figure out the details on how to.
Hi,
to
if you
actually make
record
it
your
happen.
name
Oh,
and
Darren
reason for calling,
appears
I'll see if this person is available.
also to be using a Google Voice number. Darren, if you can hear me, pick up your phone, Darren. But Darren in OC, give us a call, Darren, or answer the phone. All right, well, we're gonna go up We're going to hang up on Darren. Darren, if you want me to call you back, let me know. Somebody's been texting in fart. I like fart jokes, so very funny, whoever you are in the 310, saying fart. But I'm going to give Darren a few seconds here to text back and let me know that he wants to get on the call. But again, thank you to everybody watching. Thank you for everybody that I called and who came on the show. Thank you to the half. Thanks to the fans. Thanks to the Kings for picking up 2 points. God, we really needed it, did we not, everybody? I mean, I don't know about you, but I would have not enjoyed watching them make it to another overtime period and then not come away with any points. Darren, no, you can't call me, but I will try and call you again here real quick. So go ahead. And if you get a phone call from a phone number you don't recognize, that's because I'm blocking my number. No offense, but I don't want people knowing my number. I've made that mistake in the past. So, Darren, we are calling you here right now, and hopefully we'll get you on. Darren, what's going on?
Hello, you've reached Darren Field with
now we're
West
just
Med
getting
Associates.
Darren's
Sorry, I
voicemail.
can't
All right,
take.
well, Darren, I tried. We will try and get you back. And yes, the person who is texting me farts repeatedly also says Corey Perry sucks. I disagree. I don't think he does. But very funny. 3 farts and a testing. All right. On that happy note, I think we are going to go here. Darren, apologies, but we'll get you next time. Sorry, Darren. Apologies. He just texted and said he was sorry, but yes, laughs from Eric. I agree. Pretty funny stuff. All right, so I'm going to try and get the exit music going because I really like this exit music, and I was really hoping that I was going to be able to find a way. No, why isn't it playing? All right, well, that's annoying. Oh, no, there it is. Hey, I figured it out. All right, like I said, work in progress, everybody, but thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This will be available hopefully on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get fine podcasts. I plan on making this available as a download. You're welcome, Eric. And the plan is to do this at least every road game. We're going to have to figure out home games because timing is an issue. I want to go down to the locker room and talk to Jim Hiller. But for now, that's going to do it for the Royal Half Radio post-game show. I am Jesse Cohen. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for participating, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.